Yes, hello, it's me, David Sables again, and just to continue with our sell and negotiate theme that we're talking about in this series, I'm going to talk about selling, and you know, you have to start with the basics, and if you think this is bleeding obvious, then I'm sorry, but I've also got to say, why don't you do it right? Because this is still a huge everyday mistake that people make, even though it is the first rule of selling. When you say to somebody, sell me this item, you probably see in Wolf of Wall Street and they say, sell me this pen. What actually is a test of selling? You've got to start by saying, what am I going to ask about in order to set up how the best way I can sell is going to work? It starts with questions. It starts with actually finding the need of the buyer. I want to tell you a story, and it's tragically, it is a true story, where I was actually on an exhibition stand with my first company, which was selling furniture. And I said to the junior guy, step back and watch, as somebody came onto the stand, and I went over to speak, and it was a lady who looked quizzically at a particular chair that we had on the stand. Now, I've got to tell you, this chair was actually quite a large chair, really built for the American market. Can I say that? But what it meant was it was just very slightly bigger than your average English chair. And, you know, she looked at it fairly, I don't know, in what I thought was a disgruntled way, and said, is this chair bigger than most chairs? And I was kind of a little bit defensive about it, and I said, well, you know, a tiny bit, but not so much as you'd done. She just said, okay, well, never mind. And as she walked off the stand, she said, I was looking for a bigger range of chairs. So, if only I'd started out by saying, really, why do you ask? What is it you're looking for? And then I would have known that I could have confidently sold her the feature as, yes, of course it's a bigger chair, and I could have gone that way. But unfortunately, I started from my predisposition, made the wrong assumption, and messed up the sale. Start off by understanding, keeping an open mind as to what it is that's going to switch them on. That means that the first step is to listen and understand the needs of your buyer. Thanks for that. I hope that story helps a little bit. I'll move on to a story about negotiation, which has gone wrong. And again, it's just a little story from my past, where I'm rolling up to the traffic lights in my car, and there's a lad, some urchin, comes up to the window and shouts through the window at me, "Here, 6 roses for £1, mate." Do you know, actually, it was a long time ago. Let's just say that again. Here, 6 roses for £5. So I shook my head through the window, not interested. And the next thing he said is, all right, then I'll give you 10 roses for £5. So I just kept looking straight ahead. A dozen roses for £5, he says. Now, no attempt to sell there. Nothing, and probably rightly so, because whilst the traffic lights are just about to change back to green and he's lost his sale, at least one good thing he did was he made a specific proposal, something I could say yes to, and that he could get a £5. It just so happens, though, that he went off on the wrong tack. He was choosing the wrong proposal. There was no attempt to sell first, and as a result, he didn't understand what my needs were. So really, as I drove off, and having seen the deal double from 6 to 12 in the space of 30 seconds, as I drove past his cart and I noticed that he had lilies, well, if he'd said to me, what is it you're interested in, mate? You don't want the roses. Well, if he'd started off, if I knew he had lilies, I might have actually bought some of those. So it's just, the point is, yes, he was losing the negotiation because he hadn't prepared to sell.